Just as one of the TSA's co-creators blasted its bureaucracy, likening it to the Marx Brothers, new TSA data says complaints against it stand at an all-time low. This as the agency is set to unveil new safety technology aiming to secure patient privacy. Back to the freedom fighters with answers. Lenore, can the TSA be trusted to assess complaints from people who are flying on airplanes? Can they be trusted to assess those complaints that have been filed against itself? What do you make of that?
I seriously doubt it. Most of what the TSA is doing is they have a conflict of interest in that they can't really report how effective they are. If they were to report that they were ineffective, that's kind of a national security issue. If they were to report that they have a lot of complaints, there'd be more pushback on something that seems to not be working very well.
All right, Peter, here's a big problem with what's going on with the TSA. They've got procedures that involve screeners running their hands up the insides of passengers' thighs, around women's breasts. It feels like sexual assault to some female flyers, and certainly to some men flying. Do you think this has got to stop, this invasiveness going on in the airport as people are heading to the airports to travel for the Thanksgiving holidays?
I don't think it's effective. I think it's over the top. It's costing people a lot of time. It's a huge inconvenience. And the public doesn't like it. And it's not really clear what this is actually preventing, whether this is really doing any good or not. Certainly, it's a massive expense, and we don't really know what the benefits of sticking your hands in places where they shouldn't be and paying government agents to do that to people just because they're getting on an airplane.
Well, it feels like a violation of your personal privacy, and these are for people who don't want to go through the full-body scanners, right, Dunstan?
I understand, yeah, and I mean, this has been a privacy issue pretty much from the get-go, and where does it end? We don't know. I'm appalled when I have to go to the DMV and lay out my entire life's history in order to get my driver's license re-upped. But this is the world we live in post 9/11, and there have even been concerns about health that you go through, and it's sort of like, it's almost like a mammogram or something like that, and there are health concerns. Now, personally, I feel that the same person who might complain about that is the same person who talks into a cell phone for 5 hours at a time. So to me, it's much more of a privacy issue than a health issue. But post 9/11, I'm not sure where it's going.
All right, Lenore, the government has assured people who travel on airplanes that any of those images that are picked up by the body scanners, those body scanners will take an image of you and your body, basically your body without your clothes on. But listen to this breaking information we got. The U.S. Marshal Service, we're seeing at least one case involving the Marshal Service. Essentially, apparently, there's been thousands of naked images recorded by its body scanners, and this privacy outfit, filed a FOIA request, found more than 135,000 images that they thought were out there, at an Orlando, Florida courthouse. So, what do you make of that? That basically there are, images of people who are naked, their naked bodies, sitting in a courthouse in Orlando from these body scanners.
Oh, this is a ridiculous invasion of privacy, and it goes to show that we really can't trust this information to be held with discretion. They have a long history within the government of not using information appropriately, of taking abuses with it, and here we go again. That's why there's so much pushback on something like this.
Peter, the top government official who helps oversee the TSA says, what, Americans have got to stop worrying because these pat-down procedures are similar to what airports in Europe conduct. What do you make of that?
Well, if Americans wanted to be more like Europe, most Americans would move to Europe. You don't see them doing that. You don't see Americans crying out for a more European-style government, a more European-style, security administration. That doesn't seem like a very good excuse to me.
All right, and getting to Europe, Dustin, you brought up about these scanners emitting radiation. There's a new airport security policy that the European Commission has announced that it's on November 14th, that it's going to ban the controversial, what are called backscatter X-ray machines, because they're worried about radiation. What do you think about it?
Well, I don't know. I get back to my reference. People walk around with cell phones in their ear. To me, this is far more a privacy issue. And this information is gathered. What do we do with it? Can we trust the government to do the right thing with this information? Probably not. And but this is the world we live in.
Lenore, the TSA has rolled out about 250 backscatter X-ray machines across the country. It's also installed 260-millimeter wave scanners, which do the same job. We use low-energy radio frequencies. I mean, what do you make of all this? I mean, if Europe is banning some of these machines, shouldn't the U.S.?
Yes, I don't think we have any clear idea of the potential dangers. I know I have a doctor who's recommended that I don't use them. And you're put into this horrible position where either I go and do something which I've been warned could be dangerous for my health, or I get essentially physically assaulted. I mean, you're touched in a way that you wouldn't let somebody do it on a date.
I know,
but I have to let this person because they're wearing blue?
Exactly, and you know what?
It's ridiculous.
Exactly, and basically it's like you have to get ready for, it's probably getting ready for military battle. Military battle to get on an airplane. Well, we got to go. Thank you to my freedom fighters. Remember, as